several applications of Armor All. She still wants more. That's getting there. Seat softened up a little bit. So there's the before cleaning. There. I'm pretty well done with the driver's side. That's the after cleaning. Yep, they're shiny. Scrub the tires too. I don't know if the sunlight's hitting it right, doing it good here, but she's pretty clean. While I'm thinking about it, and the sun is right, it's not glaring, but it's not dark. Still not quite done. This is one of those things I could basically spend an endless amount of time on. And if I had it, I definitely would, especially for the reasons I'm doing it. See how shiny she is? Wheels aren't quite finished on this side. Need to clean up the tires. Still not finished with the inside, but it is coming along. Put the floor mats back in. They were dry this morning. Oh, never mind all that cleaning stuff. That's nothing. Some fool locked the doors. She's purty. So working basically just in the interior today. There are a few touches I will address on the outside, like cleaning up the passenger side wheels a little bit better. But right now, just trying to clean up and rejuvenate a little. And the dash is starting to come around. And I don't like things super shiny, but not dried out either. Looks like I'm gonna need something a little better to clean up the seats. I just don't want to use anything too harsh on them. That door panel's coming right back. And you can see the front one's not too bad either. Just scrubbing up the seats, you know, where people sit on them, things get ground in, and there's a little bit of sweat. You know, I tried to keep it clean, but it definitely needs some attention. Probably go ahead and do the final touch on the door jambs as well. It's just really wiping out the dust residue and the spots left from washing, and then going back over it with that spray wax. So I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up or not, but I haven't really touched this side. If you can see the difference. Oh, and I realized when I watched the video clip the other day where I was under the hood that this thing sounded like it was making a bunch of noise while it was running. We'll wait for this service truck to get by. But it's sitting here running right now. You can barely hear it. It's nice and smooth. I think as long as she's going to be around, I'll at least start her up and let her run for, 15-20 minutes a day. Guess I better get my scanner out and see what that check engine light's about. She doesn't appear to have any performance issues though. Alright, let's see what we got here. Just plug this guy in down here. Of course, I know right where it is on this car. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to see it. So, yes, I want scanner. Vehicle identification, 02 Bonneville, 3.8, yep. I'll go into engine. It does have an air pump. That's part of the noise under the hood. Codes menu, display codes, all powertrain codes. EVAP emission system fault. So I have replaced the little U-shaped rubber hose and the purge solenoid on this, but considering it's been sitting in the yard for 3 years, I wouldn't doubt that something has plugged up the vent side of the system. So what that does is the fumes from the gas tank are contained. They're not just vented to the atmosphere. So when the purge valve on the engine opens up, it pulls the fumes through the intake manifold and burns them like it's gas. And in order to let air into the tank, the vent valve opens up and it lets air suck in. So sometimes if you leave a vehicle sitting, like mud daubers will get in there, sometimes rodents will pack stuff in them. It's a tube, probably about, that big, a little less than the size of a quarter. And if the creatures decide that they want to live there, then yeah, they can easily plug it up. So it's not a big deal. It's not even going to affect performance or reliability or anything like that. But the way I am, that check engine light ain't going to fly with me. So I will get it fixed. Let me just go in here and take a look at the system data real quick and see if I can come up with anything solid. Sorry, the sun is not cooperating with me. The screen on this scanner, for something so expensive, because it says Prada, it's a little bit of a pain in the butt. Alright, so we're going to go back. I want to see system data. Data display. EVAP data. Okay, it's saying the vent valve is open. It says venting right there. Purge percentage is 16, so it is pulling the fumes out of the gas tank into the engine. Fuel tank pressure is 0.38 inches of water. That means there is a vacuum on the gas tank. Now, if I give it a little bit of gas, the vacuum pressure should increase, and probably the purge percentage as well. And that does appear to be functioning correctly. Oh, I bet I know what's going on here. So when I replaced the fuel pump, the fuel tank pressure sensor is on top of that assembly. I would bet the vehicle I took the pump assembly out of is a different capacity, and that fuel tank pressure sensor is reading incorrectly. So I still have the fuel tank pressure sensor that goes to this car. I'll swap that in there and see what happens. Fuel level sensor, 42%, 43%. Close enough. Test abort, reason small leak. That could also be the gas tank seal dry rotted. I'll look at that too. Fault history, weak vacuum. So there may very well be a leak somewhere. I'll check over it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, because there are a few sections of it that are rubber hoses, and like I said, the car's been sitting. And even if you do drive them, it's 21 years old, so they may very likely be a rotted out hose somewhere. But no matter what, this being the EVAP system, it's fairly easy to troubleshoot, fairly easy to find the issue, especially if you got a smoke machine. But I am very familiar with this car, so we're adding 15% on the short term, 16 on the long term. So that's also an indicator of a leak somewhere. It's pulling in excess air. I mean, it's not huge, because on General Motors of this vintage, they max out at 25% in either direction. Let me go look at the fuel trim data just to see. Fuel trim data. Yeah. Short term and long term are 15-16%. It's running a closed loop. Okay, so oxygen sensors. Let me graph that. So the two oxygen sensors right here. You want them typically about 0.45 volts. It's what they call the stoichiometric ratio. And they should be switching back and forth evenly. So this is shown in millivolts, which is, so this one says 39 millivolts, that's 0.39. That's about where you would want it, but the graph itself looks a bit uneven. So that's bank one. That gets me in the neighborhood of where I need to be looking for some kind of leak, or maybe even a faulty O2 sensor. Because bank 2, that's pretty much what you want the graph to look like, even though 4 millivolts is not the correct range. So we'll go back to PID list. We'll go back to PID list. Come on, frap off. There we go. Yeah, it looks like this one's going to need a little investigation. So coming off idle. That's more in line. That also indicates a vacuum leak. Whenever your fuel trims come back into line when you come off idle, that suggests a vacuum leak. which again is an indicator of the EVAP system. And she's not coming back to idle as quickly as I would like. Another indicator of a leak somewhere. So this is the mass airflow, grams per second. This needs to be immediately responsive, and I would think that for a 3.8 liter this should be somewhere around 3.5 to 4 grams per second. But it is immediately responsive. Engine load, that's determined off of your manifold absolute pressure sensor. I replaced that thing a few years back. So put your foot on the brake, put her in gear, get it highlighted. We're at 14. Little gas, yeah. It's functioning correctly. Throttle position 0% on idle. Just touch the gas, yeah. And then there's the actual map reading. Okay, so I need to be looking for a leak somewhere in the EVAP system and make sure the vent valve itself is functioning correctly. So under the hood with the engine cover off, on this car, the fuel lines and the EVAP line come up right in front of the firewall there, over the top of the brake booster. You got, this is the return line, I believe. And this would be the feed line. This is the fuel pressure regulator. This is the EVAP. This is pulling the fumes out of the gas tank. And then it goes through this little solenoid right here. This is the little U-shaped line I was talking about replacing. Goes through here. I actually replaced this entire assembly into here and then into the throttle body. So I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but I do hear a bit of a leak somewhere. That hissing noise. I'll have to find that. Look who came around. There's a nice kitty. There's a nice kitty. Meow. Purring and everything. So this thing keeps happening. The sun keeps going down and I can't see what I'm doing. Sure would be cool to have a shop. So here's the ending point of today. I just keep rubbing that top. Refer to previous videos to see how it started. That's quite an improvement. I need some light on the subject. So I've made the first run through the door jambs with the spray wax. That stuff actually works quite well for that. They're pretty shiny. You can see the reflection of the gravel. Might want to have your sunglasses on when you open the door on this one. If the sun hits it just the right way, you're liable to burn a retina. Couple more coats of that stuff on the wheels. That'll be good. Yeah. Oh no. Kitty cat, you did that, didn't you? I bet. The panther running around keeps leaving paw prints. You can see the metallic in the paint now. So I'm not real sure just how long this little project's going to take. I'm hoping to have it done sooner than later because my baby needs a ride. So after I get the detailing, and this is just waiting for me to scrape together a few more bucks to put into the car itself, I need to get the differential that's bolted to the side of the transmission. It's got a little slop on the inner CV joint. It's causing it to shake. And then get the windshield replaced. From there, it's just a matter of getting it legal and giving her away. I'm not really giving her away, because when you give something to someone you love, the gift is yours, the gift of giving.